in a moment, I'm going to ask you to participate in an exercise, and it's a little bit unusual. As you can see here, we have a purple cow up on the screen, and I'm going to be asking you to close your eyes and think about anything you can except for this purple cow. Okay, you can think of a green car, you can think of blue sky, you can think of yellow telephone, whatever you want to think of, anything but the purple cow. Okay, so when I ask you to close your eyes and you're thinking of anything else, I want you to not say anything. But when you do think of the purple cow, open your eyes and look at me. Don't say a word. Okay? So I'm going to be timing you, and we are going to go ahead and close your eyes and think of anything except for a purple cow. Okay. So that took all of 8 seconds for everybody to open their eyes. And what I wanted to demonstrate with this exercise is the fact that when I draw your attention to something, or when our attention is automatically drawn to something, in this case we're going to think of it as an end goal for all of us in our workspaces. We automatically, regardless of if we try not to do something, our brains just automatically go down that pathway of getting to that thing. So in this case, like I said, this is going to be your end goal or end product in the case of your company. And what happens neurologically speaking is that when we think about that end goal, as again we can't help but doing, our brains also can't help but go down that same pathway that's fired and wired together. Remember we talked a little bit earlier in the day about how when our brain lays down a new neural pathway, it automatically fires down that same neural pathway to get to that goal, and the neurons that fire together wire together. So your brain is automatically going to go down that same pathway. Okay, so on that same kind of idea, I want you to think of going down, navigating a path. Okay, and at the end of this path is your end point, your goal. Your purple cow is at the end of this pathway. Okay? So initially when you first start out, the pathway may be a little bit scraggly, might have some obstacles, some rocks, might not be well defined. But eventually over time, because your brain is going down that same route that's fired and wired together, that pathway is going to become more apparent, or it may become rutted during the course of you navigating that pathway, which eventually actually can be problematic, particularly when we're thinking about new ways of getting to that endpoint, getting to that purple cow. Okay, so what we have to do is think about new ways of getting there. What can you think of? In this case, you might think of planking a pathway. Okay, it's going to be a different path, and you might plank it to make it, an easier way of getting to that purple cow that's at the end of that path. You might pave a pathway, or if you're really thinking out of the box, which of course is what I want you all to do today, you might construct a zip line together, which would be a really fast way of getting there, right? So, what we're going to do is first operationally define the notion of innovation. All right, so what is it? I'm going to ask you guys to give me kind of your feedback on what it is. So, David, how about you? What do you think innovation is?
I think innovation primarily is using your creativity to find new solutions to old problems.
Excellent. Okay, I like that one. Who else can I call on? Andrew, how about you?
So along those same lines, I think it is rooted in creativity, but I really think that it's also cutting edge is what reminds me of, or pushing forward and coming up with new ways of doing old things.
That's excellent. I like both of those ideas of innovation. And of course, what we do here is lay down a neurocognitive foundation, neurological processing foundation for all of the information that we learn and the ways we learn about going about things. So I like this definition from Dr. Joel Chan from the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. And his definition is that it's a collection of cognitive abilities and tendencies that when applied to a problem or pursuit result in the creation of something that is appropriate to the problem or pursuit. And also it's new, like you gentlemen were saying, it's new and original in some sense. And the real key to this here is that it's taking those cognitive abilities and consciously applying them when we're looking for new manners in which we can do things. And so that's one of the things I want to focus on today is that conscious application of our abilities in order to innovate. Okay, so I'm going to give you some kind of tactile ways of going about this. And in order to do that, we're going to do several exercises broken down into specifically focused areas of spurring innovation. So the number one thing that we want to talk about when we talk about spurring innovation is location. And I'm talking about your actual physical location in space. Research demonstrates that changing location serves as a catalyst for innovative thought. And that comes from an article published by Courtney et al. In 2011. Literally what happens to your brain when you change your physical space is that because you're not surrounded by the same stimuli anymore, your brain is forced to lay down new neural connections, which then forces you to conceptualize things, conceptualize ideas and processes in a different manner. Okay, so I'd like everybody to stand up because that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to do that exercise and work on some familiar problems, okay? So if everyone would please follow me out the door.